music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. Navigating today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house, finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim Paola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
Yeah, good Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition. It's Florida Talk Real Estate. We got you for 2 hours of infotainment. Thanks for being there. 92.1. 101.7, the old terrestrial radio. Phenomenal to know you're there. Of course, we are worldwide with your free download, your iHeartRadio app. And of course, we live stream on a Saturday too. That's right. Want to check out some lovely faces and maybe one that was made for radio? You choose. Go to Florida Talk Real Estate Facebook page. On YouTube as well. That's Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook, live streaming. On YouTube, Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. Home of a ton of informational chunk videos, plus our live stream on Saturday. Good to see you if you're there with us. And thank you. Of course, you're always welcome to be part of the program. You got questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate? Don't be shy. Dial it up, 877-927-6969. The first voice you'll hear, the melodious tones of our producer extraordinaire, Jimothy, my brother from another mother. How you doing?
Doing mighty fine. Good morning, Johnny. How are you today?
I'm good, my man. Always good to see you. Pleasure.
Good to see you as well.
Thank you very much. I am your old buddy, your pal, Johnny C., your air traffic control. Let's go ahead and get your starting lineup on a Saturday morning. There's Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Hello, Mike.
Good morning, sir. I don't know. You might have to change your title just because of the reputation.
What reputation?
The ATC is having trouble right now, especially up in Newark. Air traffic control.
Yeah.
It's
not their fault.
Oh, I know. Just it makes people think
certain slackers. Always a pleasure to see you.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend?
That's not what I like.
I'd have to think about that.
Like air traffic control really kind of paints the picture.
Definitely it paints a picture.
Yeah,
certainly descriptive.
I don't know a better.
But are we crashing? I guess that's the problem.
I hope not, because that's gonna weigh on me forever. It does. Like that's not one I let go just quickly. Always good to see you.
Ground control.
Yeah. Okay, crowd control.
Hey, good, Johnny. I'm just saying hello to everybody coming on our Facebook and YouTube channel. Great.
Let's say hello to our fearless leader. 13 plus years now. I've told you he runs a top producing Keller Williams team, the Florida Home Pro team at Keller Williams Additions. There's Jim McGee, Jim Paola. How you be?
Hey, good, Johnny. We're going to have a little everybody coming on our Facebook. We're going to help buyers find out how to how to leverage.
We've got a really great show today, Johnny. We're going to be talking about mortgage interest rates with Mike.
Buyers so that they don't
the news for this week. The real estate market has been pretty big. We're going to have a little different take on it. So we're going to help buyers find out how to leverage these higher mortgage rates.
Some really great
to get a better deal on their house. So we're going to give tips on buyers so that they don't get screwed over in this market. So if you're thinking about buying a house,
we're also going to do
this summer or this year.
I know
This would be a really great time. Not only get some really great valuable information on how to set you up all that happen, but also to call us live on the air and ask Mike any questions.
It says that
if you have questions, we got the answers. Give us a call.
You know why that would be?
We're also going to do a little bit of shout outs, and I know that Sean is going to be calling in a little bit. We have an open house coming up today, so I'm really excited about all that. And Jimothy, it says that our YouTube volume is off. Do you know why that would be happening?
I do not.
Johnny, could you take over just for 1 second?
Sure, absolutely. Always remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. As we lay out the Facebook page, the YouTube page, remember the .com. This is your resource to the entire team. Your one-stop real estate shop, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. And hopefully you can hear me, YouTube. Know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, any other YouTube listeners, can you let us know if you're having any problems with your volume?
And maybe
I have other people saying it's better. So
could be user error too, by the way.
Yeah, and also the computer's a little slow today, I noticed. So maybe it's the Wi-Fi a little bit too. I don't know. But everybody's saying it's getting better. So if anybody has any other problems, and thank you for letting me know about that. But if you have any other problems, please let us know. Is the echo gone? Just one last thing, guys. Everybody's responding pretty quick.
Looks like
That's what it should have. It should have been an echo. Your mic wasn't muted, so we're good to go now.
Oh, okay. That was my problem. Typical thing. Anytime there's a problem technologically, first thing you gotta do is look at Jimmy D and say, "What's going on, Jimmy D?"
Did you do everything right?
Let me tell you something. Anytime I try to do anything tech, I have all these friends that do this stuff all the time. They go, "Oh, it's so easy. It's so easy." And then they're like, "Let me just come over and help you and show you how to do it." I'm like, "Okay,
Sure.
I love that. You're awesome. I love you, dude." Right?
Come on.
They come over, they open up my equipment using the same stuff they use on their computers, right? Same apps and all that, same equipment. They start tapping around. See, you just do it like this. Tap, 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 click.
Huh.
You're supposed to do it like this. Tap, 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 click.
Oh.
I don't know why it isn't working for you, right? And I'm like, that's what happens my whole life.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, and I'm like, see, it isn't just me. So I always say that tech companies should hire me because if it's Jimmy D approved, everybody can do it, right? If
Like
it doesn't get the Jimmy D
tester?
stamp of approval, you got problems.
Jimmy proof it.
Jimmy proof it, exactly.
See, they say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Your journey is much more adventure filled.
My journey is going through hell. It's when I'm going through that. It's like walking through the valley of death. That's what it feels like, walking through the valley of death. But anyway, thank you guys for putting up with our Facebook and YouTube stuff on the radio because you're important too. The Real Radio listeners are our base, so thank you so much.
Of course.
Let's see. Shauna has not called in yet, so we're just going to do the shout outs first, if you don't mind. One of the shout outs we're going to do is a very unusual case. I actually sold a property off market, which I normally don't do. And off market sales have been in the news a lot lately because there's a big controversy between the multiple listing service, which is the service where all the realtors put on listings so that other professionals could see what's on the market.
That's what we call the MLS.
MLS, multiple listing service. And Zillow and the MLS have been fighting a lot. And ironically, Zillow, in my mind, is fighting the good fight in this one. And you know I'm not a big Zillow fan.
Sure.
But Zillow is upset because MLS has created a system where if realtors and owners, more specifically owners, do not want to put their property on the MLS, you're allowed to now. So what that happens is the controversy behind that is not everybody knows about the property. Now, when we had no inventory 6 months ago, 8 months ago, when there was no inventory, it was a very big deal about whether you put it on the MLS because there was so few homes for all the buyers out there. But now we got tons of inventory, right? So, of course, that's when they're changing the rules because they're always behind on everything, right? So they're changing the rules about what could be on the MLS or not when we have way too many houses compared to the buyers right now, which is something we're going to talk about with Mike.
Where is it if it's not on the MLS?
Zillow. Oh, thank you. Well, what they'll do is they'll market it internally within their brokerage or brokerages.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're Keller Williams, right, I'm only going to market it to Keller Williams agents to let all the Keller Williams agents know, or at least in my brokerage know, hey, I got this property. Do you have a buyer that wants to buy it? Or Kai's Realty, for example, if I were Kai's Realty, they used to have this policy a couple of years ago. I don't know if they still have it. Bless you, Mike.
Thank you.
And they would actually ask you to sign the listing and to not put it on the market on the MLS for maybe as long as 2 months to allow them to market it internally.
Why would a seller?
Yeah, with the sellers.
Agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. I've always felt that you always should put it on the MLS because you never know. If you don't put it on the MLS, you really don't know all the buyers that are interested in buying your property.
Exactly.
You're really diluting the amount of buyers you have. So that's potentially could dilute your highest and best number that you would get.
It's like the equivalent of putting a dip net in or throwing out a big old cast net. I mean, it's a night and day difference.
It sure is. And normally I always put them on the MLS, but I did have this unusual case where the house was not in tip-top condition. The seller really needed to sell, and he wanted a certain amount from the house minimum. And he really didn't want to go through the process of showing it because he has people that live there that have serious health issues. Let's just put it that way. So it would make it very inconvenient to show. Also, it wasn't going to show very well because of that situation with the other people living there. So what we decided to do was I had another property a mile and a half that was on the MLS that was an investor-only property also. And so just like this property was more like an investor only type of property. So what we did is I took all the investors from that publicly marketed property and say, hey, I've got another one a mile and a half down the road that's off market. If you like that one, let's go ahead and get an offer on there. I sold the first property on the MLS in like 7 days. It took me like 5 months to find the buyer for this one, right? Because I didn't have it publicly marketed. So I would talk to individual investors, ask them if they were interested and tell them to drive by. And if they were, to have them come into the house.
So you didn't have it like anywhere? No MLS,
Nothing.
Nothing. None of the websites. What about internally?
Every time,
listing?
And I didn't even put it on. I didn't even put it out to the Keller Williams. I literally just, if investors called me, I say, hey, I've got an off market. So when I took the listing, the seller agreed to not put it on the MLS. There's a little contract clause in there in the listing agreement. And I put not on the MLS because that's what he wanted. And congratulations, we got the house under contract yesterday.
Nice.
So he got what he wanted to net. We still got to get through the inspection, but it's a cash deal. In 7 business days, he'll know if he's selling the house or not for sure.
Excellent.
Right. And if he doesn't, and the numbers don't work, no harm, no foul, because it wasn't on the, this is why we did it this way. No harm, no foul, because it wasn't on the MLS, so it won't show back on market or anything. Right. We gave it a shot off market. If it doesn't work, we're going to throw it on the market for everybody, right? And see if that'll work that way.
Excellent.
So, but there's a lot of people out there right now that are thinking it's better to go to these we buy houses fast for cash kind of companies. You're losing about 25 to 35% of whatever equity you have in the house. You're going to be losing that to the investor that you're buying. So if you're willing to lose 25% of the net proceeds you're going to get on your house just so you don't have to show it, because that's what it's fallen down to, then I guess that would be value to me. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to lose 25% of my hard-earned equity.
Not if you can avoid it, that's for sure. There's obviously a lane for that. Then that's a value for some folks, but not for everybody. And in this situation, and it's part of your tool belt too. Like you have connection with that kind of group, or at least
we have
one
about 300 investors in our database that we could reach out to. And this guy wanted it that way. Right. I'm sorry, I didn't say shout out to Vic. Okay. So Vic from West Palm Beach. So he had a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home out in West Palm Beach. And so anyway, we're in a contract. We're going to see how it goes.
Nice.
I see that Sean is on the phone. And after that, I have one more shout out.
Okay, let's do it. So Shauna's got details about an open house today?
Yes, I'm excited about this.
Well, welcome to Florida Talk Real Estate. Shauna, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you guys so much for having me again.
This is a rising rock star in our office at the Keller Williams Innovations office. We're on Gateway and High Ridge now. We just moved our offices.
Oh, really?
Shauna, this is your first year as an agent, right?
It sure is.
Yeah, she's just rocking it. I just saw that you had another closing on a condo or something. I saw it on Facebook.
I did.
Hey, congratulations on that. That's so cool. And Shauna did the open house for us. I think it was 2 weeks ago at 5 Danby Place.
Mm-hmm.
Got that house sold. Thank you, Shauna.
I think the last words we spoke to her were sell that house.
Yeah. Now, Shauna didn't bring the buyer. That's okay. But, it's the effort and the effort and the energy you put into the sale. I feel that really helps, get the buyers, whether it's a buyer coming from the open house or not.
Sure.
So, Shauna, thank you so much. And I'm hoping we're going to have the same luck, the same Shauna luck this week. Can you tell me what open house you're doing this week?
Absolutely. So I'll be at 1030 Sugar Sands Boulevard, Unit 167. And I'll be there today from 1 to 3 p.m. And this place is absolutely beautiful. It's another condo. It's right on the water. Should I just dive into it?
Oh, I'm sorry. What? No, keep going.
Yeah,
you're doing great. Yeah,
Okay.
you're doing awesome. Please. Yeah.
Yeah, so this place is stunning. It's newly updated, renovated beautifully. I mean, my favorite thing is the kitchen. It's absolutely beautiful. It's open floor plan, very spacious, flows right into the living room, which flows right into this beautiful view of the Intracoastal. And you really can't beat it. I mean, if you're retired, it is a 55 plus community. So if you're retired or you're retiring here in South Florida, I'm guessing 10 out of 10 times, you probably want to be as close to the water as possible. And this place is directly on the water. I mean, you can't beat it.
Yeah, it is awesome. And the way that they did the renovation, I really like it. It has all the light colors, like the light gray and the cream. Creamy is not the right word because cream and gray doesn't go well. and I'm colorblind. So it's like
It's always
like
fun to point that out.
It's like a taste policeman's being a food critic.
It's blue and
they
red.
have no taste buds.
It's blue and red walls. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, no, it isn't that bad. Mike's joking, but no, they really did a nice job. They opened up the kitchen and broke it out, which is one of the things you need to do with a lot of condos in that area. And so it really feels like an open floor plan. You have beautiful views of the water. And that boat dock is really nice. If you have a small boat or let's say a couple jet skis or something, that would be the perfect boat dock for a 23-foot boat.
Nice.
And for 500, is it 539 or 529? I'm embarrassed.
Oh, it's 525.
525. Okay, so 525,000 living on the intercoastal. Put your boat in your backyard, right? Not too bad of a life, right?
Good lifestyle.
HOA is relatively low for that area. You're on the A1A in the ocean, but the HOA is very competitive with everything around there, even the newer buildings, right?
You said the dock is part of the real estate?
Yes, part of the deal. The dock comes with it. And if you don't need the dock, you're allowed to sell or rent the dock to anybody else in the community.
Excellent.
So you can use it as like an upsell later. It's like, I'll buy the house and then I'll sell the dock and make the house even less expensive if you don't need the boat.
Sure.
So there's a lot of opportunities out there. I'm really happy that you're going to be there, and it's going to be from 1 to 3, you said?
Yes, 1 to 3.
Okay, awesome. And can you, I found out after last week's or 2 weeks ago's open house that Shauna also has a side business. So I promised I'd let you talk about that. So do you want to talk about the bartending stuff?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, by the way. That's
Sure.
very kind of you. I almost forgot. So I own a mobile bartending service here in Palm Beach County. So we do like private parties, events, weddings, bachelorette parties, birthday parties, anything you might want a bartending service or a bartender for, we cover, and we can provide everything but the alcohol. So I have like pop-up bars. I make specialty mixes. We bring the garnishes, the cups, straws, literally everything. We make it super easy for party hosts to kind of elevate their event by having a bar service there. And you kind of step back and enjoy your own celebration, and you don't have to worry about anything on that end. And yeah, we cover from Jupiter down to Boca.
Sweet.
I love what we do.
And what's the name of your company again?
It's called Shauna's Mobile Mixes.
Shauna's Mobile Mixes, and Shauna's SHAWNA, right?
That's right. Yeah. you can check
Shauna's
out the
Mobile.
website.
Yep. So check it out. I
Yeah.
highly recommend. So if you're looking for an event, you're looking for that reputable person that's going to show up on time and do a great job.
Yeah.
And I haven't gone to one of her events, but I've seen stuff on her Facebook page and everything. Everybody looks like they're having a blast and everything. So think of Shauna. And if you can't remember her name later, just remember, hey, that radio show, they had that person on the air. Let me call them. We'll get you over to Shauna. No problem.
Well, there's a couple things you're looking for. You want to make sure they know how to pour a good drink, right? Have the ability to make anything that you're asking for. And then you have to have that personality. And that shines through with Shauna.
You can hear that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then anything else is just, it's frosting, it's sprinkles. Anything else is extra. So fantastic. I love the business, and I love the zest that you have. That's awesome, Shauna.
So
Thank
Shauna,
you so much. Yeah.
yeah, so thank you so much. A couple of things about the open house today. It's not gated, so you don't have to worry about going through the gate. So if you want to check out this condo, all you got to do is go through the main entrance. No big deal. You're at the back of the complex because it's on the east side of the intercoastal. So go all the way west until you get to the intercoastal, and that's where the building is. And Shauna, can you do me a favor?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sell that condo.
Sell it.
Sell it. Just sell it. We want it. We want it moved. Okay. Find that buyer. Okay.
I'll give it my best effort.
I know you will. I know you will. Thank you so much. Give me a call afterwards or text me to let me know what happened. Okay. And don't forget to
I
call
will.
the owners. Okay.
All right, you got it. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you
guys.
so much. I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Shauna. 1 to 3 details on that open house. That condo sounds amazing. That'll all be at Facebook, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. Jimmy D, safe to assume?
Yep. It's all on the Facebook page. So just go to Florida Talk Real Estate. You'll see the little promos for the open house and everything. And just go on over there. It'll be great. Want to do a really quick shout out to Lisa. Lisa is painting her brand new home that she bought. I keep wanting to say it's Palm Bay, but it might have been Palm City. She's probably going to correct me in just a second. But we helped Lisa and Kevin sell their house. Remember, Kevin had the Miami Dolphins pickup truck. Remember we were talking about that a while
Yes,
ago?
I remember that.
So Kevin and Lisa sold their house here in West Palm. and then they went and bought new construction in another place, and they needed the money from the sale of the home they were selling in order to buy the new home.
True seller buyers.
Yep. So we did what we call the simultaneous close. So we closed early in the morning on the sale of the house. The title company got the money from that and then transferred to the other title company so that they can close on the other house. We had the simultaneous close. So smooth. Lisa and Kevin were some of the smoothest seller buyers I had this year.
Nice.
So that's great.
How long were they homeless?
0 days. I mean, 0 minutes. 0 minutes. Yeah, 0 minutes.
That's impressive.
Unlike Greg and Diane,
they were like
who were
an
on
hour.
the show. Yeah, they were homeless for like 33 minutes or something.
Almost
they were very
an hour
upset
of
with
homelessness.
Me. Yeah, they were 33 minutes. They couldn't.
They were
move
about
it
to
in
start
their
rattling cans at the intersection. Yeah.
So didn't make anybody homeless. So that's great.
I don't like the word residentially challenged. Thank you very much.
I'm going to use that from now on. I go, if you don't do it, I'm going to make you residentially challenged.
If we have to call it the primary bedroom, we have to say residentially challenged.
It's true, right?
Yes.
Right? Your primary bedroom, not master bedroom, right? Not master bath. Now, a couple other shout outs that I really talk about. I always talk about how we could do so. Oh, before I get it. Well, I guess it's related to this. I talk a lot about people that are selling and buying, but a lot of people think that if they're selling here and buying out of the area, I'm of no use to them except for the sale part down here.
Oh, not true.
And that is not true.
Not true.
We have 6 houses closing in 6 different states right now. Well, actually 5 are closing, 5 are under contract to close. 1, they're still looking for their property. But I have a sale going on in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona. Thank you, Tom and Elizabeth. They are big time Real Radio fans. If I gave the last name, you know exactly who it is.
When you say Tom and Elizabeth and Real Radio, I
Yeah.
know exactly who you're talking about. And if they're talking, or if they're listening, congratulations.
And
That's
those
amazing.
people are awesome fans of the station and our show. And
Big
thank
time
you so
supporters.
much. Yeah.
Amazing people.
It's so funny. They called me, never told me who really the owners were, just said they needed an agent in that area. I vetted everybody, got really good agent for them. Tom and Elizabeth gave it to their relatives. The relatives interviewed them. Then it took like 6 weeks before they actually put it on the market. The house was on the market about a week and a half ago. I don't have the information, but next week I'll have it if it isn't under contract already. I know it's on the market for $389, but I don't know the other details. But that's a Scottsdale, Arizona deal. Then we have another deal up in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, that we're helping with an agent. We have another one. Brian is working with somebody in West Virginia. That was throwing me for a loop because we thought he was going to move to Ocala. Now it looks like West Virginia, a little bit of difference.
He's just going a little further.
Yeah, a little bit
A
different.
couple miles.
Really smart move for him because what he wants to buy, the type of property he wants to buy, is actually cheaper up there, and he has people up there that he loves. So he's going up there. So we're changing gears and getting him up there and got him with a really great agent up there. They're looking for houses. Today, Mike and Colleen, who are from Scotia, New York, don't live in Florida, have been listening to us on our YouTube channel and became fans. And now Colleen is down here this weekend in Orlando looking at 4 or 5 new construction developments. We got them with a really great realtor up in, I'm so excited for them. They have such a great realtor up there. The guy works for, I'd like to get this guy on my show sometime. His name is Ken Posick. He's a super big Keller Williams. He makes me look like a little tiny ant in our company.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, he does over $100 million a year. I think he's got 20 agents or something.
Well, I don't know.
But
You're more ant.
yeah, well, I'm in the top, but not like Ken. That's that's stratospheric, right? That's Pro Bowl versus being in the pros, right? But Ken, he's really great on his YouTube channel, and that's what he built everything up. So that's how I met him. And then at family reunion 2 years ago, I played blackjack with him. He just happened to sit at my table.
Keller Williams thing, family reunion.
Yeah, family reunion is a national convention. We call it family reunion. And then, so anyway, I called him up first because it's Orlando, and I knew he had the team. And I found one of his agents has been a new construction. He worked for developers, new construction for 8 years in Orlando.
As like a sales rep?
As a sales rep.
Okay.
So now he's working for my buyers. So I'm so excited
he
for
knows
them.
the sauce,
He knows them, right? So Colleen is out there right now as we speak, running around looking at properties today.
That's exciting.
And I'm really excited for them. And
I wonder what the weather's like for her right now. I wonder if she's like, it's a little hot.
Melted.
Yeah. It's kind of
it's like, maybe I shouldn't move here.
That vetting work you do though to vet other realtors for your your clients. That's super valuable.
Yeah, and thank you. And the thing is about that is most realtors, and you'll see this on your Facebook pages, people. How many times have you seen a realtor that's in your feed that says, "Hey, does anybody know somebody that is anybody know an agent in Lakeland, or anybody know an agent in New York, or anybody know an agent in Michigan?" And I'm like, that's how you're picking the agent for your customers?
Well, people are doing that for a lot of things these days, right? Like community searches for, hey, I need this, or hey, I need that.
And
so it's kind of natural.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's kind of like Angie's List or something, or whatever they call it now. But the thing is that the difference, what we do, we go into the Keller Williams system, which has about 160,000 agents all over the world, 44 countries. And I can zero in on a map to show exactly where you want to buy, or the area you want to buy, find all the agents that are in production there, and whether or not they specialize in listings, whether they specialize in buys, whether they specialize in land, condos, and I can get in there deep. I usually try to find 3 or 4 of them.
You'll call,
I call
to them,
all of them.
Interview them.
Half of them don't call me back. Welcome to the real world. So then they're kicked to the curb. It's like, know how big they are. If they don't have time to call you back and you say, "Hey, I might have a referral for you."
Nobody's that busy.
Yeah, it's like you're too busy for these people. So anyway, we've had really great results with everybody.
Yeah.
So we have 6 people in 6 different states right now that are doing some types of closing. Unfortunately, Mike, none of them are in the States. Obviously, the reason why you're not closing
or they
some
don't
of
need
these
financing.
Yeah. Some of them are cash.
Yep.
Like the Myrtle Beach is cash, so they don't need it. But everybody else is out of the states that you can't work. Because Mike, what states do you work again?
Florida, Georgia, South.
I know them. I'm asking you.
Florida, geez, I don't.
Florida,
Colorado.
Georgia,
Florida,
Colorado,
Georgia.
Tennessee.
I was going to get there. Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, Colorado.
Yeah, I wish you were West Virginia. We'd have you hooked up with Brian right
I didn't
now.
even know. Yeah.
If you can, let me know. Well, he's already kind of locked in pretty good now.
Yeah, that's one of those where if there's an opportunity, I would look at getting licensed in the state.
Yeah.
And there's certain loan types I could do in any state. I don't know if we ever talk about that.
Know that.
Some of those broker, like the
the
non-conforming,
DSCR or something like that.
the alternative income documentation loans. Generally, I can do those in any
Those
state.
are called no doc.
No docs.
Well, they're not no doc.
They're
Some
alternative docs. They're
Some doc.
alternative.
There's
You know
a
what
range.
alternative doc means? You write in how much income you got.
I slide it over on a napkin. I'm like, there you go, Mike.
They call those. It's interesting because you'd say no doc, and then someone's like, "Well, why are you asking me for documentation?" It's like, no, it's no income documentation. I still need to know who you are, how much money you have, like where's your money coming from. But
Crypto.
Let's say
Bitcoin.
Come on.
they range anywhere from a full doc all the way to I would call it no income docs or no ratio loan.
Yep.
And then there's stuff in between.
Fogamira doc.
Nice.
Fogamira loan.
And right in the middle, there's what's up, Doc?
Can you fog the mirror?
There's a
Okay,
middle
you got the
ground,
moon.
and let's just say on the one end you're the your conventional FHA, your conforming loans, and the other end you're non-conforming. And then the more documents you can present, the less risk you are, right? So
That
it
makes
affects
sense.
your interest rate, it affects your loan to value. So, but things like, Johnny, give me you're self-employed, give me 12 months of your bank statements. We'll look at that for income kind of calculations. So,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Very
but
cool.
those types of loans exist. They're out there. They're not the best as far as terms, but
Sure.
they exist.
And you can do them in any state, evidently.
And a lot of them I could do in any state.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's Mike Rao, the mortgage guy.
That's
from
right.
The mortgage firm.
Mhm.
Let's do a little reset. Come back. We got a special guest joining us. Yes.
Yes, we do. Can you?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you might have heard the melodious tones a little bit there, but Andy Wyman's going to be joining us. I guess it's 29 years practicing, 11 specializing in helping residential consumers deal with bad contractors.
I love this.
And like anything that kind of touches that world. We get the guy with the name on the sign dealing with specializing in, and you're going to spend some time. If you've been looking on YouTube or on the Facebook page, you've seen him join us in here. You heard the melodious tones. We're going to bring him in, give him a formal introduction 4 minutes from now. A 4-minute quick reset. We get back into it. Of course, if you got questions, you're more than welcome to join us. 877-927-6969. It's going to be a 4-minute break. Jimothy will line you up during that break. If you dial in, don't be shy. You're more than welcome. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, always remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your one-stop real estate shop. I get it if you're not comfortable on the radio. One day I may be comfortable on the radio. Until then, I go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com when I need this team. You're looking to buy a home, sell a home, you're stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. Anything that touches the world of real estate, I got a professional for you. Look, there's people that you know that are good at what they do, and maybe they're pros in this world. You got to go to people that are great at what they do. Just because you know them doesn't mean they're good. I got people I love, and I would never go to them for business because the fact is, I love them. They're just not great at what they do. But I love them to death. I really do. Go to people that are great at what they do. At least vet them. Give them a chance. It's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. 4-minute break. We're back at it. Thanks for being with us every Saturday. 2 hours of infotainment right here on Real Radio.
What's a Real Radio podcast? It's Real Radio on demand. Find your favorite show at realradio921.com. Here's the latest with weather on Real Radio.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Charlotte Carl. More showers and storms expected along the sea breeze boundary when we hit our afternoon highs. So that'll be around mid-afternoon, think 2 to 4 p.m. Those showers and storms will pop up in form along that I-95 corridor, slowly expand and then drift inland before drifting slowly back towards the coastline.
This report is sponsored by Smith, Ball, Baez, and Prather Injury Lawyers.
Injured in an incident? Call Smith, Ball, Baez, and Prather for your free case evaluation. 500-HELP. 500-HELP. Help is just a local phone call away.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because FloridaTalkRealEstate.com has you covered. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
There it is, 877-927-6969. That's toll free. If you got a question, comment, concern in the world of real estate, you want to dive into the conversation at hand, do just that. Don't be shy. Today's the 24th of May, I believe. Timothy's our producer extraordinaire. Is that accurate, my dude?
That would be 100% accurate. It is Saturday, May 24th.
Feeling good about myself right now, too. How about that?
Yeah.
After vacation, man, I totally lost track of days.
It's Saturday, too.
I'm stunned I woke up today knowing I had to come to work. Yeah, it's been like, well, Rockville does that to you. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just does.
You're still out of it.
Oh, it's so much fun. Yeah. I'm ready to throw them our money for next year.
Where were you?
It's called Welcome to Rockville. It's essentially a metal festival, but it kind of incorporates a lot of different rock genre. But they've been doing it 5 years at Daytona International Speedway. It used to be in Jacksonville.
Yep.
It's 4 days, 5 if you camp. We camp. And it's amazing, but I'm still kind of recovering. But great to be here on a Saturday,
Nice.
and again feeling good about myself, even though it's the 24th. Like I think I might be back to normal at this point.
And
I
it's a 3-day weekend.
I think
right?
everything's worn off at this point.
You're not working Monday, are you?
I work tomorrow, and then I'm off Monday.
Yeah.
But I don't work Sundays except for tomorrow. Know what I'm saying? Yeah. Johnny C, that's me. There's Timothy. He's the one that's always on top of things.
Hello, and good morning.
Mike Rouse, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Hello, my friend.
Good morning. Good morning.
You ever gonna do Rockville with us one year?
Oof, I don't think I could do a 5-day camping thing.
What?
Yeah, that's past my prime for that type of thing.
Oh no.
Like what day are you like, is 3 days enough?
No,
you're like 5. You want another 6.
So this year was
you're camping like in a tent, or
no, we're RV, we're glamping.
Okay. Okay.
Still,
I might be able to handle that.
You rent one there?
We go with friends.
We go with friends. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
that's nice.
It's fantastic.
That falls into the boat and plane category, where it's cheaper to rent it, than to buy it.
Yeah, or just find somebody that has one.
Yeah, exactly.
Jimmy D's here, of course, our fearless leader, 13 plus years now. I've told you he runs a top producing Keller Williams team, the Florida Home Pros team with Keller Williams Innovations. There he is, Jimmy D. How you be?
Thank you so much. Just want to remind everybody we have an open house today from 1 to 3 at 1030 Sugar Sands Boulevard. It's a great 2-2 condo on the Intercoastal with boat dockage, up to 20-foot boat or jet skis and stuff like that. So please go out, meet Shauna Tran at 1030 Sugar Sands Boulevard in Singer Island today from 1 to 3.
And again, details on Florida Talk Real Estate Facebook page. If you're like, what was that? It's Facebook. You can get it all right there. And let's say officially, welcome to the program to Andy Wyman. So Wyman Legal Solutions helps Florida homeowners resolve contractor disputes, renovation issues, construction defects. I'm sure there's so much more. 29 years, 11 years specializing in this very field. Great to always have the guy with the name on the stand. Andy Wyman's with us, and we've heard his voice earlier. You can see him on our live streams. Pleasure to have you in studio.
Oh, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Oh, that's very cool. Are you comfortable? We're going to turn your mic on because you got a good voice for radio. So you're actually going to make it on the air this time.
All right.
Yeah, most guests, we just patch them through and we're like, yeah, you're with us. Yeah, great to have you with us.
Hey,
Thank you very much.
Timothy, you got the auto tune in there?
Yes, we do.
How do you slide into this field?
You know, it's been it started from doing a lot of different types of things, and then you find those things that you are just really connected to, issues you love learning about. Construction was something that was I grew up with. My dad was a contractor, so was my grandfather, and so it's in my blood, so to speak. And with the, you know, when I was a kid, when I was 13, I went to work at their company for a summer, and I became a carpenter's assistant, which just means some poor guy had to drag around the boss's son and make him look useful for, you know, every day for the summer. And I knew quickly that I wasn't going to make any kind of living if I had to have a hammer in my hands. So, but it was always, you know, just super interesting. And then, you know, what really drew me to represent these homeowners who are stuck in these nightmare renovations is just, you know, how much they really need us, how much these people just don't know what they don't know, and they're just at such an information disadvantage to get taken advantage of. And you know, we want to step in and really help them live a better quality of life and get these bad contractors just out of their lives.
It always has felt like such a Florida-centric thing. Is this a national thing, or is it really like a focus on Florida for more reasons than other?
Yeah, I mean, it is a problem throughout the country, but Florida is one of those states they say that people will come to because of our homestead laws. When I say people, I mean like, people who are, contractors. We call them contractors gone wild, right? These guys who they're either unlicensed or they're unlicensed, they're inexperienced, they're just bad communicators, bad business people. And yeah, Florida has special protections, unfortunately, for people who are willing to take advantage of others. It's too bad.
So we need people like you with passion for the consumer in this field, particularly because, like, I think the key you said there was you don't know what you don't know. And so much of us kind of wander around, and when you're in need of a professional and somebody just greases it the right way, says the right things, you're just hook, line, and sinker. And next thing you know, you're getting screwed. How long, Jim, have you known Andy?
Actually, Andy has a really good marketing rep, Laura, who's in our studio right now, and she actually just called and said, I get a lot of requests to be on the show. You can't believe probably 3 to 5 requests a week to come on the show, and I'm very selective, as everybody knows.
Of course. But
I felt like this. I checked out Andy's background. I like what I saw. Laura was very aggressive, and also it was a great, and no, in a good way, and I respect that. That's what I'm saying as a compliment. But also, it's a great. I mean, contractors in Florida. You're kidding me? There's so many people get ripped off.
Tremendous value for the audience, the listeners, the consumers. This is a real value, knowing that there's people out there to fight for you when you need them.
So let me give you just one news story. Just ripped from the headlines last week and the week before. There was a guy in Port St. Lucie named Mark Montalto who owned Port St. Lucie Properties, I think the name of the company was called.
Really?
And
I know Port St. Lucie Properties.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Real Radio's been at Port St. Lucie Properties many a Saturdays over the years.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you talk? You mean talking about us on the show, or are you talking about that company?
No, I'm talking about Real Radio.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. So what happened with this is he started taking money to build houses, and he started putting them together. He wasn't paying the subs. The subs put liens on the properties that weren't even built yet. The homeowners don't have a house, but they lost all their money. And the guy filed bankruptcy. The company filed bankruptcy. So the judges are filing claims against him. And then one of the judges actually said to one of the victims, you better go to federal court and claim your money in the bankruptcy court. So pretty rough, right?
Yeah.
Right. Right, Andy. I know that you see this stuff all the time. Maybe even haven't heard of this guy, but this is really common stuff. Think about it. People don't think about this. You're hiring this stranger. You're giving them a lot of money up front. You're signing contracts a lot of times where they say they're going to build your house in 9 months or less, right, Jimmy? Because Jimmy went through this.
Mm-hmm.
But in that contract, it says that they could take up to 2 years to finish the house. Yep. And you have no recourse. They have up to 2 years to finish that house, correct?
Right.
A lot of times
that they do. And that just underscores the importance of many of the things that get people into a lot of trouble. And you're right. People's home is usually their most expensive, valuable asset. Not only that, it's the place you are expecting to have all these great memories and live a wonderful life. And then you entrust it and put it in the hands of somebody who you absolutely shouldn't. And there's ways to avoid that, and hopefully we'll get into some of that later. But that's the kind of thing that we hear all the time, and why people call us. We've had situations, where we've one of the most severe situations we're dealing with is a woman who is just going to renovate her home. She was going to add a small addition to the back of her house, a few hundred square feet. It was going to require knocking down part of a wall, and she was going to renovate the entire rest of her 1,600 square foot home. She hires a contractor, gives him $75,000, does some design work. Within a couple of months, an excuse is made. Hey, I'm bowing out of the business, but my project manager, Bob, hire him. He'll do the job for you. Sign a contract with Bob. Is Bob licensed? No, Bob is not licensed. So she goes, but she doesn't know that. So she goes and signs a contract with Bob. Contractor contractor one says, hey, I'm going to give Bob this $75,000 that you gave me. So, that way you're all made whole. That never happened. And then, Bob, since he's not licensed, he can't pull a permit, but he's got some other guy, a licensed guy, pulling a permit for him, which is completely illegal. The permit is pulled to do the renovation. And as they're doing the renovation and the demo, they take down all 4 walls of her house, and all she's left with is a concrete slab.
No.
And then she got red tagged. She got a code violation because there was no demo permit to pull down the whole house.
Right.
And now she's in a world of hurt as a result of this.
And I bet you if somebody did a background check on that person before they went into contract, they would have found problems in the past. I never heard this story. Is that true? Am I right about that?
Yes. 100%. The first even the licensed guy she hired originally had many problems.
Yep. And that's the thing. We're going to get into more about that later, but that's just one of the little tips. You got to know who you're working with, and you can't just go, oh, that's a really nice guy. He's sweet. He was nice. He joked around. He was friendly. I like the price. The price is lower than everybody else. These are all things that is not how you make a decision to hire a contractor. We'll get into a little bit more about that later. And these stories happen all the time. I was burned by a contractor once when I was flipping houses. I was building a house in Sunrise, and I had worked with this contractor group from Lake Worth. I'd really like to mention them on the air, but I'm not going to because iHeartRadio would get mad, but I really dislike this guy a lot.
Are they still around?
Yeah, I think he is still around, unfortunately, but he's changed his company name a couple of times. Wonder why. So anyway, he had done a couple of good jobs for us. We had flipped a couple of homes, very easy, rip it out, put it back in, did a good job, on time, on budget. Then I had a much bigger job in Sunrise, and this is right when the economy was changing. So he had a crew that was doing work for that Extreme Makeover TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And this is around the time when that was a really popular show.
Move that.
So
bus.
so he said, hey, we're going to bring that contractor crew, one of those contractor crews that done multiple TV shows, and we're going to bring them down to your place. They're going to live there. Now, there was no electricity. The roof was leaking. It was like a really gut job. And they said, in 2 weeks, the whole house is going to be completely brand new. And I always pull permits. So I said, well, what about the permits? He goes, on this one, because of the speed we need to do it, I don't want to pull any permits at all. I was very uncomfortable about it. We went back and forth. So I outwitted myself. This is what Andy's going to tell me. What I did was I wrote in the contract in an additional comments or whatever, that if the contractor didn't pull permits and got caught, that I would pay for the materials to fix the problem, but he was going to pay for all the I would pay the fines, but he would pay for all the contracting materials and labor to fix whatever needed to be fixed. And we put that in the contract. Well, he broke ground in 2 days. He got red tagged by the city building department. I was down for 16 weeks, right? That was supposed to be a 12-week job, start to finish. I was down 16 weeks just trying to get the permits on red tagged. And when I went to an attorney to show him what I was doing, because I wanted to go after the contractor, the attorney laughed in my face. He goes, you can't put this in the contract saying that if you don't pull permits, you're acknowling that they might not pull permits, right? He goes, you're complicit with the non-pulling of the permits. And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Well, that one kind of broke me. That's the one that kind of created the show in a way.
Yeah, not pulling permits is a problem for everybody, the homeowner and the contractor. The contractor, it's against their licensure to do work that requires a permit. But for you, the homeowner, I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but there would be an obligation to tell the person you're selling the house to that you did work there without a permit, because it's a code violation that just persists with the property. And so you can sell that house and walk away from it. But if I buy that house and the music stops and I'm left without a chair to sit in when it hits the fan, that becomes my problem. And I should know that before I bought that house from you.
And it's true, because I knew the market was shifting and had already bought the house. So I had to do it super fast. I knew, and I was right. The market did shift. I was right about everything except my stupid decision not to hire, not to do it. Right. I should have just said, I'll go to somebody else and not work with them. But we had to see, and I'm a pro, right? And I had a track record with these people. I got burned, right? So anybody can get burned doing this. So that's one of the things I'm really happy that we have Andy here, because I want to go over like the 4 or 5 things you should know before you hire a contractor. Before we get into that though, Andy, I want to ask you this. Is there anything, thanks. We have a caller. We're going to take him on right after this question.
Sure.
My first question is what happens if you're just hiring an AC guy, or you're just putting in a water heater Something relatively simple. Or maybe you're just pulling out a kitchen, put it in a kitchen, you're not moving walls.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just as important to go over those contracts as the big contract like you were talking about where the lady was actually adding square footage to her house?
Absolutely. I mean, it's important to look over the contract, but it's also important to know who you're hiring. And that's what we're going to get into shortly for a job like that, because you think, okay, it's just swapping out an air conditioning. But if that's not done correctly, your drain line could, open up. I mean, you know what I mean? Right. I mean, and then there's the air conditioning, water heaters lead to water problems. Water problems lead to mold problems, lots of property damage. Your homeowner's insurance might not cover that for
water
you because
damage, we know that with Ross.
Well, that, and also because it's created by a contractor. It's a contractor who causes the problem, in which case, and trying to run after a contractor and their insurance is a lot more difficult than getting a claim paid by your own carrier. And then, of course, if the person's not licensed to do the work they're doing, they probably don't have insurance to cover the damage they've caused you. And now you've created a really big problem just because you tried to cut a little corner.
That makes sense. So, Johnny, do you mind if we take the call on the air first, and then we'll get back into this?
877-927-6969, toll free into the studio. Who dialed that up, Jimothy?
Sheldon dialed it up. He has a problem with an eviction notice that he received. So I'll let Sheldon get into it. Sheldon, welcome to Florida Talk Real Estate.
Hi, thank you. Yes, I live in Boynton Beach, Florida, at a manufactured home community called Sunny South Estates. I've lived here for over 10 years. And when I was younger, yes, I did perhaps have some clutter outside the house. And for whatever reason, the management does not like me. So they have been after me. And anytime they complained about anything, I took care of it immediately. Well, just a few days ago, without any warning, I received an eviction notice from them saying I have till June 20th that I have to leave. So I've been trying to make calls. Fine. You can get many attorneys who will do an eviction, but to find one who will help you and do what, to defend against an eviction, which I feel is, of course, totally inappropriate, it's a very difficult, terrible situation to be caught this way. And as I said, I love my home. I love the situation. I think I get along really well with the neighbors and so on. Always paid my rent on time. Just so you understand a little background, this is a community where we own the houses, but they own the land underneath it. So we pay them the rent for that. But as I said, I've received from the base company is in Chicago. I believe it's called Hometown America. And everyone I call, no one gets back to me and so on. So I'm just sort of treading water here. Yeah. I thought maybe you guys could help.
Okay. Well, what I will say is obviously what's going to be in your lease, what's written in your lease is going to be super important as it determines your rights in this situation. I will tell you, like anything else, landlord-tenant law is a specialty. It's not our specialty, but I do know attorneys who represent both landlords and tenants. And so I can, I don't know if we give the name off the air or on there.
This is what's going to happen, Sheldon. If you don't mind, if you give the information to Jimothy, I promise I'll call you on Tuesday and give you information. I do actually have one of the top landlord attorneys in South Florida. His name is Charles Simon. He's called the Landlord Bulldog. And he's been doing this like 30 years down here.
For tenants too? He'll do that too? Great.
Yeah, he actually specializes in tenants more so.
Oh, wonderful.
And then the landlords got so beat up by him, they started hiring him so that he couldn't be the on the other side anymore. Right. That's how good this guy is. So Charles will give you at least a free consultation to tell you if you have a case or not. He's very short and curt because he's been doing this forever. So he knows if it's going to work or not, but we can get you to that guy. And if that doesn't work and you're not satisfied, then we can go to Andy and ask him for some people he might know. Is that okay, Sheldon?
That sounds wonderful. That's
okay.
So helpful.
Yeah, well, all we can do is try to get you to the right people to get the answers you need. I can't guarantee what the answers are. Okay, but we're going to help you any way we can, and that's what we do on this show.
That's right.
That's awesome. I'm so glad I called. That's great.
Good luck, Sheldon.
Good. Thanks. Leave it with Jimothy, and we'll call you on Tuesday.
Yeah, hold on a second there, Sheldon. Thanks for being with us. And of course, you're always welcome to join us. 877-927-6969. You are too. It's toll free. Questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate. Want to dive into the conversation at hand? Go for it. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, always remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Your one-stop real estate shop. It's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
I wanted to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, which I thought was very important, which is about shopping based on price, right? And so, like anything else, if you sense that there's a price that's too good to be true, there's probably a reason for it. And I have another horror story from a client who didn't who bought based on price, and it was too good to be true. This is a couple who lives in the northern part of the country, and they bought a piece of property over on the west coast of Florida. At the time they bought it, the people they bought it from were under contract to build a house on it. And they had about $100,000 worth of materials they had already purchased, which were supposedly being stored somewhere. Sight unseen, they buy the property, they buy the materials, and they inherit the contract, which was to build a 5,500 square foot house for $330,000.
Wow.
It's near
near
Naples. This was 2 years ago. This was
That's
2
like
years
what,
ago.
$70 a square foot or something?
Right. So for
crazy.
people who know better, you can't build a house like that. And the thing is, so number one, that there's the contractor is either inexperienced or has no intention of building the house for that money. And you might think as the client, but I have a contract, so that's on them. That's their problem. Well, it's really not, because most contractors, when they hit that point in the project where they're no longer going to make money and they realize they won't make money, you're not going to see them anymore. And then they are going to abandon your project. And for these people, they called me about 14 months into the project and they barely had any work done. And so as we started investigating it and reaching out to the contractor and all of that, the contractor basically bolted. This client had never seen the materials. And it turned out that this contractor had taken the materials and used them elsewhere. And now, so now we have a new contractor, someone very reputable we've brought in to introduce him to price out the build of this house. $1.3 million.
Right, too expensive.
So it's $1 million difference to what they were expecting, and now they're at a point that they're probably going to abandon the build altogether and maybe just try to sell the
land and forget about the whole thing.
Right, and so it's there, and this is a couple. They're farmers. They were going to move here and enjoy the good life. And now those dreams are just completely crushed.
And I forgot to mention this, that Florida, I should have set this up at the beginning. Florida is the number one of course, right? We're number one in the country for contractor fraud. So we have more fraud than everybody else. We're always number one in everything. Wire fraud, identity fraud, mortgage fraud, contractor fraud. It's fraud. It's Florida, right? Yeah. That's why they call us Florida, right? So you have to be really careful down here. And a lot of people down here, it is a right to work state. So with the right to work state, there's a lot of people that are running around doing stuff that really aren't qualified to do with their, the skills that they're saying that they have. Right. They're not trained. A lot of them don't have insurance, which we're going to get into in a little bit. That's so important about workman's comp. Because so many people go, oh, I'm workman's comp exempt. And people think the homeowners go, oh, okay, I guess that's okay. Well, yeah, they're exempt, but that's on your butt, right? That's like saying, hey, you take care of it, right?
It's you.
Right? You hire me, but if any of my guys get hurt, you take care of it.
That's why condos very often won't let the owners hire a workers' comp exempt contractor, because even if legitimately they are.
I just talked to somebody complaining about that they were upset they couldn't bring their contractor in to do something in a work in a condo because they didn't have $1 million liability insurance, right? Okay. And because they didn't have it, they couldn't use the contractor they wanted. And then the condo had 5 of those type of contractors that are already approved by the community. And they were like, here, use one of these guys. And he felt like the condo was getting kickbacks on it. But really, they're just trying to protect all the other community owners that if something happens in your unit, if it affects somebody else.
Right.
So let me ask you this, Andy. If I were just meeting you in person, like in an elevator or in a shopping line or something, and you said you were doing construction law, and I said, wow, I'm just about to do a 1,000 square foot addition on my house. I'm just making it up. What are the 3 to 5 things that you say that people absolutely have to do before they hire that contractor?
So I'd say the 3 things they have to do or know before they hire that contractor. One is know what you want, both in terms of the scope and budget, right? Know who you are hiring, and know your rights. So those are the from a 30,000 foot view, the three things.
So let's talk about the first part. Be specific,
Mhm.
right? So when you say that you want to build 1,000 square foot addition to your house, and you say I want it over here, you want to know the finishes that are being used and the types of construction materials that are going to be used, and do they meet? I know that they have to if you're pulling permits, but do they meet the hurricane code so you can get discounts from your insurance policy for the work that's done?
Right. So know what you want as far as the scope of the work is concerned. You know, you need to do this research before you really start researching contractors, and that's so and know your budget. That's really important. And when you bring a contractor in, and that way you're very informed already when you have that conversation with the contractor, and you're not susceptible to being led around by that contractor on either scope or budget. And you'll know if they're trying to suggest anywhere where they think you should cut corners, and that will dictate whether you're listening to red flags or not.
And later on in the show, we're going to talk to Mike about how you can use financing to help pay for the construction that you want to do, either if it's brand new build or if it's an addition or something like that. Different ways you can grab the equity from the home. We'll talk about that later.
And as far on the budget, one thing on the budget side of that is, construction contracts kind of come in two flavors. One is a fixed price, right? Where, here's all the work that's being done, and it's for one specific price, and it's not going to exceed it, and that's what it's going to be. Another thing is called cost plus, and people don't realize or understand what this means, which is, what you end up paying the contractor is the cost of all the materials and the labor plus a percentage of something overhead and profit. That so the GC is making some money. It's usually 20%, can be these days up to 25. But so people will, and usually there'll be an estimated price in that contract, and it all depends on your finishes, because you could have tile that's $1 a square foot, you could have tile that's $8 a square foot, and so depending on what you pick, and so you might not really fully understand that that's the kind of contract you've entered into. In which case, what your budget is, could totally get blown through if it doesn't match up with the scope you have in your picture in your mind.
Just like we always say with Mike, when you're a buyer, you got to know your numbers. When you're doing a contractor deal, you got to know your numbers and specifically what you want the end product to look like when you're done.
Right.
And to communicate that with the contractors so they know that if you do want $15 a square foot tile, right, that they're prepared for that, and they're not just coming in thinking, oh, I'm going to budget $4 a square foot, and then you've got this discrepancy. Talk it out. Talk it out with the contractor. If they don't have time for you not to talk to you about this, or they don't seem like they're fully engaged in that part, that's a warning sign. That's a yellow flag to say, hey, do I really want to work with this guy? Because once I give him my money, right, he doesn't even have my money yet, and he's treating me like this. Can you imagine if I give him the money and he has me over a barrel?
It almost seems like that should be part of your contractor selection process. Is how willing are they to help you get to the bottom line? Like, what's the budget need to be? Because they should be going through all that and giving you some sort of idea on time and money.
They should let you know if what you have in your mind in terms of quality and budget are incompatible. Right. You need to know that up front.
Well, because ultimately, Mike, if I'm coming to you, we have the same goal. We want to close, right? If I'm trying to buy a house, the goal is to close on that house, right? Not to just kind of get there. The goal should be with the contractor to be able to, how do we get this end game? We're both trying to make sure this gets done. And if it doesn't feel like we're on the same page, you might want to.
A lot of times there is that kind of that rubber meets the road moment for people where it's, in my world, it's, what payment you qualify for is kind of what I tell you. And then you tell me what your budget is. But if you say, hey, I want to get a $600,000 home, but I only want a $2,000 a month mortgage payment, then I kind of say, well, hold on, we need to figure something out here, right?
Yeah,
you gotta
are you
down
putting $400,000 down?
Yeah, exactly. You got a big down payment. So it's got to be like that with contract. I'm sure people get shocked all the time in the initial stages, which what's it really going to cost to get done? Right?
Now, what was number 2 on that? So
number
first
2
is know your numbers and communicate well with the contractor. What's number 2?
Know who you are hiring.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So what I always do is I go if I'm in Palm Beach County, I do the Palm Beach County Consumer Affairs Department. A lot of people don't even know that agency exists. It's actually very similar to the Better Business Bureau, which I also do check. But with the Palm Beach County Consumer Affairs Division, you could actually file a complaint and they may investigate situations. So to me, going to both of those places are really important. Then I also go to Department of Business and Professional Regulation, and I go to SunBiz, right?
Yes.
So what would you do? What would you tell people to do?
Right. So the Department of Business and Professional Regulation is the licensing arm of the state, right? So that's the first place I would go to. And you want to take a look at the name of the company on the contract, the name of the company you're looking to hire. We'll talk about contracts in a minute, but the name of the company you're looking to hire. Because in Florida, licenses aren't given to companies. Licenses are given to individual people.
Mm-hmm.
And then if a company is going to do construction, they have to have a license holder, what's called qualify that company, which means that they apply to the state to officially attach their license to that company so that company can perform construction related work. So lots of times you might hire a company and there's always a person behind it, and that might not be the person you're dealing with. Lots of times you're dealing with a salesperson, someone who understands construction, but might honestly not have been, I won't say smart enough, but not able to pass the test. So there is a separate license holder. So you want to find out and make sure that, you understand who the qualifier is and you know what the license number is. So you can take a look on the department website and see if that person's had any license complaints in the past, and to make sure that the company you're hiring is in fact qualified. So that's absolutely the very first thing. After that, insurance is obviously super important. There is the Florida's Division of Financial Services. You can go to their website and find out, make sure that the contractor has workers' comp insurance.
Oh, that's important.
Yes.
Florida Department of Financial Services.
Yes, that's
I
right.
didn't know that. That's great.
So you could do a search for a contractor to see their workers' comp insurance. It won't show you their general liability. That you have to ask them for, and they have to produce to you some type of documentation that they have liability.
If you ask, what if you don't ask?
Well, if you don't ask, you are susceptible to getting lied to.
Okay.
Right. Trust but verify.
Or if you do ask, this is
They
my
could
favorite.
still lie to you.
Right. This is my favorite. You ask the contractor, you're licensed and insured, and they go, yes. Say, come on over. When I used to flip houses, so come on over, present your bid. Then they'd say, hey, where's the paperwork for licensed insurance? He goes, I got a driver's license and I have car insurance.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
I'm licensed and insured. He didn't say what kind of license and insurance.
Right.
Right.
License doesn't just mean a business license. It means actually licensed to do the work you're hiring.
Yeah, so you got to make sure. And
Absolutely.
why is that important about the workman's comp? Why is that so important to the customer?
Yeah. No, that's a great question, because if there is a worker that is on your property and they get hurt and your contractor doesn't have workers' comp, you're going to be responsible for it. You have someone who falls off your roof. I mean, people could get killed on construction projects.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've got potentially personal liability to the injured worker, and so that's.
I never
that's
understood why that was, because you're hiring the I understand that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you're hiring a contractor, and it seems like the contractor's responsibility to make sure that they have the insurance. They don't. They get hurt on your job, but you're the one that gets sued, even though the contractor hired that worker decided to work for that contractor. And they're just at your house because that contractor told that guy to go there.
And are they, let's say you don't have insurance, are they suing you personally, or are they suing the contractor? Who's the injured party suing?
They'll
if there's
probably
no insurance.
They'll probably sue the contractor and you, the homeowner. And if you don't have, sometime, whether that's covered by your homeowner's insurance policy, it probably is. But if you don't have homeowner's insurance, I mean, they're always suing the individual. Insurance only really steps in when the individual then turns to their insurance company and says, hey, I got sued. Take care of this, as long as it's something that's, within coverage. So yeah, it's a real dangerous position you're putting yourself in unknowingly.
Can I ask another one on that?
Sure.
So let's say the contractor does have workman's comp insurance. If they bring on like day laborers or, people come and ditch diggers, something like that, are they covered under that policy if they're not like employees, perhaps not even officially 1099? Maybe they're just, paid.
Like pulled off
paid
for
per
Home
day?
Depot,
The Home Depot truck.
line.
Yeah, we hear that all the time. That's a great question. That I'm actually, I think it might depend. It might depend on the type of coverage that you have. And yeah.
Interesting.
I know when I've hired day laborers through day labor services, when I used to flip houses, they did have workman comp liability for those day workers, and
Through
it was
their
part of the fee
placement,
like your daily fee for them. They would have a line showing that you're paying for this.
So
too,
there's
which
ways
is workman comp.
for them to be covered, but I wonder if that's something you should be thinking about.
Yeah,
like,
so
hey, are you bringing on people who are under your insurance policy?
Yeah.
Or
And
not?
right now, skilled labor that is, reliable is so hard to come by for these contractors. So, and that we find is a source of why these jobs tend to take so long, because contractors
Mhm.
can't get good people
Yep.
there to do it. So they're sending bad people. They're people who don't know what they're doing. They're unskilled, and homeowners are getting really, really unhappy with the quality of the work, the pace of the project, and it is a big problem.
We got Andy Wyman Legal Solutions joining us today, giving us 3 really important things that we need to be talking about when we're looking to hire a contractor. What was number 3?
I want to say one before I hit number 3. There was one more thing I wanted to add because you discussed it before about you called it a yellow flag, but like look at reviews and all of that. To go online, look at the reviews from Google. If they are getting gradually worse and worse and worse more recently, it usually means the contractor's having some financial difficulties and he's not keeping people happy. So look at what is out there, but trust your gut and how the contractor communicates with you or promises they keep or don't keep during the honeymoon phase when they're trying to win your business is a red flag, or it's indicative of how they're going to treat your job. So if they tell you, I'll be there 5:00 Friday to come look at your house and start talking to you about your job, and they show up at 6:00 and they don't call you to tell you I'm going to be an hour late, or they don't show up at all, that's when they're trying to impress you. That's how they're going to treat your job. And so, hey, I'll deliver this proposal to you by Tuesday. And then Tuesday comes and goes, and it's Wednesday and it's Thursday, and now you're texting them on Friday, hey, where's that proposal? Oh, I'll get it to you Monday. That you don't want to have anything to do with a contractor who runs their business that way. They don't have control of what they're doing, and that's going to show up in your project in any number of ways.
It's kind of like a first date. If it's just not going good, punt.
Yeah,
On to the next
exactly.
one.
Move on.
Yes,
Move on.
exactly. So the third thing is to know your rights. And so, and that all depends on the contract that you have with the contractor. You don't really have rights. If you have no contract, you practically have no rights. I mean, yes, there's a standard of how the work should be done, and if does it meet those kinds of standards, and does it meet code, and all of those things. But if you don't have a written contract that says, what's going to happen if we have to get into a dispute, when are payments going to be made, at how much, at what intervals, at what milestones, and all of that, simple things like, okay, tile floor, you're going to install a tile floor. Is it being installed on the diagonal? Is it being installed square? So every little, if you, even if it's promised to you verbally, if you don't get it put in writing into a contract, you should not expect that you're going to be able to enforce it or get it. And so that is really just super important. And, and look, I'll ask clients, hey, okay, let me see your contract. And they give you this 1-page document that might be a vague list of what's going to be done in a number. That's not a contract.
For a $60,000 job or something,
and that's
right?
not going to protect you. So, those sorts of things. And another good indication of whether or not you're dealing with a good contractor is the importance that the contractor puts on the contract. Meaning, so if they're presenting you with what looks like a contract, and it looks like something they've Frankenstein together from, Google or ChatGPT and some former boss they had, and it's internally inconsistent. The margins are messed up. There's different fonts. Things are misspelled, misnumbered. It's not a professional presented document. That shows you that they don't really put a lot of importance into that document. They don't really consider it something that you should find important. In which case, they're going to treat it that way. They're going to treat your job that way too. So that is a telltale sign of professionalism or not. And anytime the contractor tells you, hey, something verbally and you want it, make sure you get it, make sure it ends up in your contract.
So there's a reality though when it comes to these contracts, especially the longer ones. 9 out of 10 people, maybe 9.5 out of 10 people, I mean, they're just kind of perusing. Okay. Yep.
Right.
Can I be like, hey, can I have an attorney look at this?
You should.
And should you? Yeah,
absolutely.
And would, like, if I go to Wyman Legal Solutions, you're going to make time to do that for us?
Absolutely. That's something that we do. We actually vet contractors for people. We do all that background searches we talk about. And then, yes, we put in contracts that will help protect you through the life of your project. We'll even introduce you to folks who can help manage your project for you if it's a custom home build and it's something. So that way you might be too busy to pay attention to that couple from
or not even know what to look for.
Know what to look for. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
I could look at a contract and be like, oh, I feel really good about this. But if I sign that and hand a bunch of money over, I could be in worse shape than I could even realize.
Or in the process of building it, and you're looking at the structural members that are being built, or the way the foundation, the footer's being put together with the rebar and stuff, and you don't know if they're doing it right or not, right?
And now they're asking you for payment for it,
right,
and you don't know if it's right or not.
And do you pay, like, and here's part of the contract, do you pay when they say they're done, or when the building department says that they've approved the work that's been done up to that point, right? When do you pay them? I'm going to pay them when the building department says that phase of the construction is done. That's the way I'm going to do
make
it.
sure that's in your contract.
Yes,
otherwise, because it could be written very vaguely, and then your final payment is due upon completion. What does that mean?
It's interesting.
You know what I mean?
I'm thinking about it from like the financing side, and so we have in our company there's called a construction desk or construction desk department, and they're reviewing these types of things, right? They're reviewing initial bids because we're basically saying, hey, what's the scope of the work? This is going to go into eventually what is the security for the loan. So we need to make sure it gets done right and on some sort of budget and time, and we control the funds and when payments are made. But I doubt we're doing half of what you would be doing from a law perspective, because we're not like the lawyers, right? We don't have lawyers reviewing these. We're just making sure it checks all of the boxes that we require. And so even when you're doing financing, it probably doesn't hurt to have because worst case scenario, you lose everything, right?
Absolutely.
All your money, your work's not done. You got to start over. Best case scenario goes great, but it doesn't hurt to have this review. What would, as a percentage of like a total job, what would you say like the cost is to have professional, like a safety net up front? Is it?
Oh, I mean, it depends. Honestly, I mean, looking at a contract, reviewing it and having a discussion with you. And then
the vetting of the contract.
I mean, we do vetting of a contractor for like $1,000. We do this contract. We could put a good contract in place for you for anywhere between $2,000 and $5,000, depending on the scope of the work and
even
how
like
much money
making recommendations on like revisions on the contract.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it depends on the back and forth with the contractor. Sometimes can be a little more expensive, but we have certain contracts we can start as using our form. Sometimes we're using the form provided by the contractor, but either way, I mean, it's a drop in the bucket. It's
a safety factor, because let me tell you, if you have a problem with the contractor, $1,000, oh my gosh, that's going to be so cheap to solve the problem in order to say,
or to prevent the problem.
To prevent the problem so that you don't have it. It's so worth it. I can tell you so many horror contractor stories. I've hired so many contractors flipping properties, so many different types of contractors.
You feel like you got lucky?
No, because I really understood what I was doing, and I wrote my own contract. And the funny part is that contract that we signed, that was my contract, but we changed it that I shouldn't have. But with contracts, what you have to do is you have to make sure we have another call, and we're going to take it in a second, but I wanted to talk about draws and spending the money.
Yes.
Okay, so part of the thing about the contract.
Can I just real quick to piece on what he was just talking about? You're talking about, you can do so if I'm hiring you, I'm having you look at a contract and it needs a lot of revision. You're actually working with the contractor. I'm not a go-between between you and the contractor. You're in contact with the contractor and working through all that?
For big jobs, yes, but for most other jobs, no. Because here's what might happen: hey, my contractor gave me this contract. Andy, take a look, and I might look at it and say, okay, here's all the things I would change. But before I'm going to do that, we need to know that your contractor is willing to agree to it, and there may be certain things. So you'll have to know what your scope of work is. You'll have to know what the price is. These other legal terms. There are things that you would talk to your contractor about, and he's like, "There's no way I'm going to agree to that." In which case, you're not going to work with that contractor in all likelihood. But the good thing about the contracts we prepare, they're fair. They work. You don't want a contract that's so one-sided in your favor that the contractor can't do their job. So we want a contract that is for the benefit of the project. It makes the project move along in an orderly fashion and gets things done. And as long as people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, everyone's going to win. And we want this to be win-win.
Everybody wants it to, and the end game is for it to happen, for it to be finished. Everybody's happy, and we move on.
It's got to be win-win for that.
Right.
And when I used to flip properties, one of the things I used to tell the contractors all the time is, I love cutting checks to you. Because I'm cutting a check to you, that means that part of the job's done, and I love it because that means we're a step closer to getting to getting this thing closed.
Yeah.
So I try to let them know you're not going to have to chase my money, but I don't want to be chasing you. Right. So you got to do your job, and I'm loving cutting that check. I want to cut that check all day. All the faster I can cut the check, the better.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really important. I'd like to take the caller, but we're going to talk about how how to know how much you should pay up front versus the stages, because that's another way that people get burned. I got burned a couple times at the beginning, gave way too much money up front.
Yeah.
So you have to know what to do with that. But let's go ahead and take the call if you don't mind,
Sounds
Johnny.
perfect. What do you got, Jimmy?
Sure thing. We have Susan on the line. She has a question on the topic we're at right now. Susan, welcome to Florida Talk Real Estate.
Hi, Susan.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hi.
Is this Susan C?
Yes.
Okay, cool. How's your dog? How's Hudson doing? Is he feeling better?
Yeah, he's feeling much better.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Thank God I called my vet yesterday because he was, I literally had him out of the house in the backyard for 20 minutes yesterday morning at 11 a.m. And I went to go look for him, and he was hiding behind the AC unit because it was damp, wet earth. And he was melting, just melting.
He was getting heat
So I called
stroke.
my vet, and he said, just get some towels and run it under cool water, and then just put it on his chest, underneath his armpits, underneath his groin. And he eventually, 30 minutes later, got better, but scary.
Well, that's good. That's a public service announcement. Watch out for your doggies right now.
hot,
It's hot. The ground is hot. The pavement's hot.
Everything's hot. Now, Susan, if I'm not mistaken, I think Susan is currently working for window contractors, so she knows like on the flip side, right, Susan?
Yeah, I've been in the construction industry for 30 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
So I know all the different trades. I've worked for an underground contractor. I've worked for a land clearing contractor. I've worked for a shell contractor. I've worked for a plumbing contractor. And the last 10 years, I've worked for a window contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are several key points that homeowners need to do for their own due diligence. And I have received so many phone calls since the beginning of this year from homeowners saying, I had somebody knocking on my door at 6 o'clock at night, and they sat in my living room for 2 hours, and I signed a contract, and now I don't feel so good about it. And I tell them, well, in the state of Florida, first off, you have a 72-hour rescission period. So if you gave them money in the state of Florida, you have 3 days to get your money back.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them several things that they need to do. First off is go to sunbiz.org. They need to look for that company name at sunbiz.org to see if they're registered to do business in the state of Florida. The second thing they need to do is to go to the Florida, they can Google this, I don't know the website, but they need to go to the Florida Contracting Board website, look up the name of the company, and see if there are any complaints against the license.
Mm-hmm.
If there are complaints against the license, bug out.
Oof.
The third thing they need to do is get a certificate of insurance, which I call a COI. So they need to get a COI, but they need it made out to them specifically, their address, and if they have an HOA, they need to get it made out to the HOA and have everybody listed as additionally insured. The other thing they need to look at, which a lot of people don't do, which is so sad, is they need to look at the age of the business. There are a lot of window companies that have popped up, since 2019, 2020, that have only been in business a few short years. We've been in business since 2003. Okay, so we're here to stay. We own the building we're in. We are not an overnight company. A lot of these others, the short-term ones, what's going to happen if your window delaminates and you need a warranty?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Great advice.
And they're not around.
Great advice.
And they're not around.
Yep.
And you can call the manufacturer, but, if you don't have an order number, the manufacturer cannot distinguish whether you actually bought their product or not.
Mm-hmm.
So you've lost your warranty.
Yep.
It's out the door.
Yeah, and the manufacturer's warranty is obviously covering the thing like delamination, but lots of the problems we hear from folks who have problems with windows and sliding doors is more labor issues. And
they didn't install it right.
Exactly. And as the Susan's pointing out, I mean, a warranty is only as good as the company that is standing behind it. So if you go by with a fly-by-night organization, where you see this all the time, solar companies, people where the solar company has installed the panels and they're gone, they're out of business, and the panels don't work, and the homeowner's left with no warranty remedy whatsoever. So Susan's making excellent points.
Susan, thank you so much. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And the other thing I wanted to point out is I know a lot of homeowners go by Google reviews. I'm sorry, but I'm very, very nervous when I see a consistent, 5-star review year after year after year, because that's especially for a company that's only been around, the last few years. That tells me they're buying reviews.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Fake reviews.
Yeah, fake reviews. Yep.
And the other thing is, and I hate to say this, I'm outing everybody's secrets here in the contractor world, but if you get a bad review, you can pay somebody from Google to remove it for like $1,000.
I didn't know about that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So don't trust the Google reviews. The things you need to look at: age of business, contractor board, contractor license. I mean, these things are simple, but so many people don't know how to do it. And I had a customer come in last year, not a customer, but somebody come in last year, and he's like, there was a window company across the way from you, and they took 50% of my deposit, and now they're out of business.
Ouch.
He's like, will you honor their contract? And I'm like, oh, no. I'm sorry, no.
Well, thank you very much for caring enough to take a moment out of your Saturday to call and share a little bit of this. It's I think it's a really, really valuable time we're spending with Andy today. And it's, again, we don't know what we don't know. Knowing that there's professionals out there to fight for you and make sure things are going well is reassuring as hell. But yes, these conversations are very, very important. And I think a lot of folks are probably learning a lot, myself included. And thanks for taking the time to interject a little bit more importance in there, Susan. Glad Hudson's doing better.
Yeah, glad Hudson's doing well. Okay.
Me too. All right. Thanks,
awesome.
guys.
Thank you, Susan.
Have a great rest of your weekend. 877-927-6969. You're welcome to join us. We still got 30 plus minutes remaining. Are we going to do a break or are we going to plow through?
You mind if we plow through?
We can plow through as long as I can get a question in.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Yes.
Because I find this to be very similar, the same, but maybe separate. And that is pool contractors having a pool installed. How many times have we know personally somebody really got hosed?
Yeah.
But people that have gotten absolutely destroyed by pool contractors under the same type of thing. It's a construction project. It's not much different than, maybe another addition to the house. Is that something that you also cover? And do you have any specific advice that makes a difference for pools, or just in general, it's the same type thing?
No, great question. So yeah, we handle pool cases as well. I mean, anything involving construction to your home or any kind of improvement to your home, whether it's, it's an addition, it's a renovation, it's a new home construction, it's a pool, solar, all that stuff, we do it. So it's the same thing. I mean, you want to do the background search as best you can. And the pool companies, another type of company that Susan's advice is really good, right? The age of the company as well. And pool contractors, it's interesting because Florida has special licenses for pool work and pool contractors. And that's more of a recent thing over the past few years. So there are a lot of companies out there that are doing work to pools that should not be. And so you really want to make sure. And what's interesting, when you go to that state website, the department, and you look up the license holder, now when it's a pool related company, they give you a description of what actually that company is licensed to do as it pertains to your pool, because there are different levels of pool contractors.
Like resurfacing is different than actually building the shell or rebuilding
correct.
the shell
That's
or something
correct.
like that.
That's correct. And sometimes residential versus commercial. Yeah. And it'll tell you this is what their license covers. And so it's a really great resource to go to. So, but it's really one of those things, and it tends to be, the most it leads to so much disappointment for people when one of those goes badly and you're left with a hole in your backyard and you can't have your kid's birthday party back there like you were planning to. These are the stories we hear all the time.
I want to get to part number 3 again about contracts, but before that, I just want to let everybody know that last week in our weekly newsletter, if you're not part of that, let me know and we'll put you on the email. I put out that that if you ever need contractors, we have resources for you about that, are reputable people that have worked with many of our other customers in the past. And one
that
of
are
our
licensed,
that
insured.
are licensed and insured, are very reputable, show up on time. If we get any negative feedback on anybody from that group, we just pull them aside for a little bit. I'll even have a talk with them, even though it's not my business, just to say, hey, just so you know, this is what people are saying.
Do you offer them $1,000 for it to go away?
No. But what? Yeah. If you give me $1,000, I'll forget about the complaint. But no, I do not do that. But we did have a couple of people call off the email last week saying, hey, I need contractors. One, Jay, who's been a big caller of the show, he needed an AC company in the areas in. The perfect match for him was Ewing and Ewing Air. I know that you know Ewing and Ewing. They've been around forever. And sent him over there and a couple other people. So if you need contractors, we may have the contractors you need. I don't get any money for it. I don't get any referral fees. I'm just trying to help the community connect with people that are reputable.
Yeah.
I'm a small business owner. I'm hoping people connect me to people that need help. And Mike and everybody else here. So that's all we're trying to do, is just help our local community and our business community.
That's it.
And try to help people connect with the right people. Now, getting back to number 3 and about understanding your rights in the contract, what about draws? Okay, so draws, what's the definition of a draw, just so you understand?
So it's really a draw. It's really the pace of the payments that are made to your contractor on the project. There's always going to be an initial deposit, plus at certain intervals, at certain milestones. Sometimes the contractor's billing you on a monthly basis, and there's a need to compare what they're requesting to get paid for versus the work that's actually been performed on the job. So draws is the pace at which you're making payments on usually a percentage basis of the total price.
So let's say that you're getting a roof, okay, and let's say it's a barrel tile roof because those materials are more expensive, and let's say your roof is $40,000, and then the contractor comes and goes, great, I need $20,000 up front for this $40,000 roof. Is that okay?
I think that's too much. I think that's too much of a down payment to start a project with. And you want, if you kind of think about it, you want the payments on the project to look like call it a bell curve, right? So it's, there's a smaller payment at the beginning, larger payments as the project is going on, and proportionally as the project ends, back to smaller payments. So I think what's fair is what you might pay up front initially to the contractor is the same amount you're withholding to the very end. And so there's a trust factor here. It works both ways for contractors and for owners. And so, and this is your leverage. This is the biggest source of losing leverage with a contractor, is paying them at a pace that outpaces the work that they're performing for you.
And the reason why that is, in real life, what happens is a lot of contractors, they'll take your upfront draw, right? They'll start working your case, but they're looking for new business at the same time. Then they find another customer is ready to work with them. So they want to get that draw too. And they might not have enough manpower to do both jobs at the same time. So what they do is they walk away from your job for a little while to make the second customer happy that, oh, look, they're doing stuff just like they were doing stuff for you, but then they disappeared on you to do the other person. Then they get another draw. And now the next thing you know, they're not keeping up with everybody. And that's what you have to really worry about. Because once they have your money, it's very hard to claw it back. It's much better to keep the money in your pocket and hold it as leverage if you have to. And that's why I love telling contractors, I love cutting checks, because that's what they want to hear, right? But what I'm telling them is, I love cutting checks because you're doing what you need to be doing, and we have a good relationship.
Right.
One of the other things I want to ask about contracts first, before you get into the final tips that you have, what about I used to put in my contracts, and I will if I'm flipping homes again, I want to put in the contract where, let's say I'm working with the GC to do the whole thing. I'm going to say, okay, how long do you need to do this job? And let's say they say 6 weeks. And I say to them, okay, I'm going to give you 8 weeks to do the job. And let's say I feel that the price is correct. And I'm going to pay you what you're asking for. And I'm going to give you 8 weeks, not 6 weeks. But if you finish on 6 weeks, I'm going to give you a bonus. or I'll give you a per diem bonus for every day you finish under the 8-week period. But if you don't finish in 8 weeks, I'm going to charge you the same amount per day on the opposite end to take away money from the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And you would be surprised at how many contractors look at me and go, I'm not signing that. And this is before they even started the job. And I love that question because you could just see on their face right away in real time, is this guy really going to do my job or not? That's my opinion. And if they're more worried that they're not going to meet the 8-week deadline when they ask for 6 and not getting excited, it's like, this guy's giving me 2 extra weeks and he's going to pay me more money if I finish in 6 weeks and not get excited about that.
Right.
Then I don't want to work with that guy.
Yeah, it's a great
Is that a bad thing to do? Is that a bad negotiation technique?
No, not at all.
Would you recommend to other people to do it? I'm just wondering.
I think that's a great litmus test. I had not. I think you had discussed that with me at some point previously, and I had not seen someone do that just like that. And yes, these contracts can have provisions where there's a penalty for late or there's a bonus for early, but actually having the conversation with the contractor upfront and reading their expression on their face and seeing it in their eyes, I think is a great litmus test to see if that's going to be a contractor you want to work with.
And here are the most objections I get when I used to do this all the time.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Well, I'm the painter. What happens if the electrician doesn't finish on time? Or what happens if the tiler doesn't finish and I'm supposed to put in the trim work and stuff? Or if it's because of weather, what happens if it's weather? I'm like, no problem. I'm not trying to bust you. That's why I'm giving you extra time anyway. But if it does turn into an issue where the electrician's really, really slow, believe me, I'm going to be on their case to make sure they get that work done. And I'm not going to let you get penalized. That electrician is going to be paying me to pay you.
Right.
Because I'm going to make sure that they're under the same kind of thing that you are. So if you get these kind of objections when you ask that question, it's a really great litmus test. Now, what other advice do you have about knowing your rights?
So otherwise, again, it's really whatever is written into your contract is the most important. If you happen to be in a situation, if you happen to be in a situation where you've hired an unlicensed contractor, they have no right to get paid for the work they're doing on your house. If the work required a license, exactly.
Right.
So we'll have situations where these clients are coming to us after have been bullied basically by these unlicensed contractors who are trying to squeeze more and more money out of them, and they finally get fed up enough that they seek help. And that's one of the first things we tell them, and you could just see sort of the relief right on their face that, wait, I don't have to pay this guy anything? No, you don't have to pay him anything else. He can't enforce his contract. He can't put a lien on your house. Well, anyone could put a lien on your house, but he can't legally put a lien on your house. And so, and then there's actually been some great case law recently that even suggests, the owner can recoup the money they've paid the contractor already in a lawsuit back. It's called disgorgement. And so, that's something that we will use as a pressure point to try to get this unlicensed contractor to cooperate.
Here's another problem with that Port St. Lucie contractor that was arrested up in Port St. Lucie. Not only was he not doing the work that he promised to do after people paid him, but he wasn't paying the contractors that he hired to do the work. Yeah. So what did those subs do? They put liens on the person's property.
Right. People don't know that you can pay your general contractor, and if he doesn't pay the sub, they can legitimately put a lien on your property, and now you have to pay twice. So there's the right way to make payments on a project, and there's wrong ways to make payments. There's documents you're entitled to when you make payments that contractors will generally not tell you about, not because they're always trying to be deceptive, but just because it's it's just not necessarily their job to tell you what you should know. But so you could get into a lot of trouble and have things cost you even more and more. And a lien on your house means that the unpaid contractor can foreclose.
Can you put that in the contract where you avoid that?
Yes, so you can put into the contract to make sure that every time you make a payment, you're getting what's called partial lien releases or partial lien waivers from subcontractors, that the contractor has to present to you a certain package of documents in addition to doing the work before you will write them that check. And so that's where an attorney like a construction attorney like us can additionally protect you in these contracts.
WymanLegalSolutions.com.
Exactly. And so you really have to make sure that if you don't have a job supervisor running the job for you, you really have to make sure that you're actually talking to the subs. Hey, are you getting paid? Just ask them, hey, how's the GC treating you right? On the side, just real quiet. Yeah. If they haven't been paid, believe me, they're going to tell you, hey, this guy hasn't paid me, because they're thinking, hey, this guy can help me get my money, meaning the owner, right? because I'm going to go right to that contractor and go, hey, that electrician isn't happy.
Right.
You fix it or you're gone.
Right.
Right. And then everybody's gone. Maybe I'll keep the electrician and let you go.
Yeah. And
Right.
there's no substitute for doing that yourself. So some people think that, people misunderstand the role of the building inspectors and the building officials. So I did a presentation just 2 weeks ago to the Building Officials Association of Palm Beach County. And so I got a chance to do a presentation to all of the inspectors and everyone who comes out and code and plan review and all that. And getting into the conversations with them. Homeowners don't understand that all the building officials are there to do is to make sure that your work meets the code. And that code is a minimum standard. They're not there to make sure that the work is done to the standard you're expecting or to the industry or to, that it looks good. But they're just there to make sure it's just passing code. So they're not there and they're not there to protect that. They're kind of there to protect the homeowner, but only to that extent. So there's a lot of room between passing an inspection because it meets code and where you as a homeowner will be happy and have a rightful expectation that the work is going to be to a certain quality. There's a lot of room in there that, you're on your own.
If you tile a shower stall, right, and the tile is all screwed up with the grout lines and everything, right, but it isn't allowing any water to go through the wall and it's solid, that's good enough.
Yeah, they're
going to pass it. And you might go, that's the worst tile lay job I've ever seen.
Right.
But as long as there isn't any structural issues with it, that it's protecting that area and everything, that's good enough for the building inspector, not good enough for you.
Right.
By the way, I think you would also agree, and everybody here would agree, also vet your inspection companies as well, because that can turn around and bite you in the butt as well.
Home inspectors? Yeah, that's, we get calls sometimes. We don't really do this kind of work, but we get calls sometimes from people who say, hey, I bought this house and my home inspector missed these things. And, my experience, your agreement you signed with your home inspector says that his liability is capped at the amount of money you paid him to do the inspection, which is usually like $500. Yeah, that happened to me once when I bought a house many years ago, and sure enough, that was in my contract. And we got a little more money out of it, but your home inspectors, their reports, your contracts with them, there's things they are absolutely not looking for, and they're not paying them to look for, and so you do need to be real careful about that. And home inspectors are other folks that one of the things, actually, I've got a fantastic home inspector. One of the things I do is I promote and sponsor something called the Florida Certified Master Builders Program. So even though I'm very consumer oriented and we protect homeowners, part of that I think is being involved in the builder side of the industry and making sure that they're doing everything they can to raise their game and educate them. And so this Certified Master Builder Program, it's only 30 contractors or builders in the state who qualify and have this designation, and those are like the cream of the crop, the best of the best. And on this panel with me are folks who are inspectors who are involved in drafting the residential building code standards of construction and what should be and should not be acceptable. And, so I've got an into just the whole state's worth of excellent contractors, inspectors, engineers, private, permit expediters, you name it. And so it's a really great resource for us, especially to introduce clients to who come to us because we had a guy, he was building a house for 7 years, custom home for 7 years.
I hope it's a very big home.
It's not. It's a really nice home, but ultimately, I mean, he signed a contract. His kids were 1 and 2, and now they're 8 and 9. Right. And we had to fire that builder and bring in someone else to finish it. And we were able to bring in people that are reputable, pre-vetted, and now we're of course in litigation over that.
So much money when you go through that.
Money, time. The stress, the emotional impact, you lose relationships. I mean, we've seen it all from the people who call us. A very real life problems.
Real
life problems. Absolutely.
Of course, when you're in a situation, you're like, man, that sounds familiar to me. You got resources. Power players at WymanLegalSolutions.com. Always remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com as well. When you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. Anything that touches the world of real estate, your one-stop real estate shop, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
So, Andy, we're going to switch over to Mike Rauch because we really had big news this week about interest rates and want to kind of let people know what's going on with that this week. Also, the monthly report for the Realtors Association came out. So I want to go into that, but this was a really great topic. Hopefully you had a good time. I'd love to have you back on the show again at some point. And anybody have any questions with contractors, just keep this in the back of your head because it's like, hey, I'm having a problem. oh, that radio show, guys, maybe they have the help we do. We need. Oh, we do.
Oh, we do.
And we don't charge anything. We just get you to the right people, and then you get free consultations, right? You give a free consultation to somebody, correct, Andy? I'm throwing you under the bus here.
We actually, it's interesting. We actually don't do free consultations.
Okay, that's
you
important
pay
to know.
$350 to get on the phone with me for 45 minutes or so to talk about your problem.
Okay, so that's important to know.
Yes,
But
that is important to
I
know.
still think it might be worthwhile.
It's always worthwhile.
If somebody's calling you, they're probably so stressed out
It's
anyway,
practically free.
Yeah,
it's
it's
practically free. You're going to get good. You're going to get good. You're going to get advice. You're going to feel. You'll know your options at the end of that conversation. Again, like you said before, you may not like the options, but you will know exactly
what your options are.
You're getting educated.
So anybody that needs help, give us a call. We'll get you over to Andy for if you ever have contractors or you think about hiring contractors and you think about a big job or even a little job and you think it's worth having the protection, give us a call. Now, Mike, I wanted to go over what happened this week because I read so many bad, horrible headlines about how the interest rates just skyrocketed this week because of basically the bond market went
Economic
nuts.
news,
Because of the bond market, because of the tariffs and some other things that are going on. And the bonds people are very upset. And I've been hearing 7.5% interest rates and higher in the news. But is that true? Is that what you're seeing in real life? Because Freddie Mac's only had us at 6.86.
Yeah, so I knew the Freddie report comes out Thursday to Thursday, and we didn't really start seeing much of that kind of the headline bond movement until like maybe it was Tuesday,
right?
This
That's
week,
what
Wednesday,
I thought. Right?
Which means you had the whole, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday thing leading up to it. So I knew there wasn't going to be a big movement this week. I would expect next Thursday's report to be kind of reflect.
Do you think it'll be in the sevens next week?
I don't think so. No, so we're at 6.86 this past Thursday. I think it's still going to be under 7 next week if I were predicting. I didn't see that type of.
So that's what I wanted to talk about, right? So everybody, on the way down here, I was listening to a news report that says that we have the highest interest rate. It was some liberal group, and it was like complaining about the economy. And they say we've had the highest interest rate. We're at the highest interest rates since in the 21st century. And I'm like, no, we're not.
No, we're not.
That was November 2023 is when we hit the highest so far from 2006 until today, which was 7.79, and that was November 2003. We're not at 7.79. We're at 6.86.
Yep.
Almost a whole point below that high. So there's a lot of media stuff out there that are actually trying to justify their view of what's happening with the economy and then trying to spin it that way. And I'm saying it on both sides and all sides.
Yeah, we're all suffering from the
but you're not
court of public opinion,
which is
super
different than
critical.
the facts.
Yeah,
right.
yes.
Which is different than the facts. Now, Johnny, I know you're not going to agree with me
What
on
about
this.
the alternative facts?
Yeah, because that's what Johnny's going to argue.
Those
is that
are my favorite ones.
What are your facts? Right. That's what he's going to argue. But what
we are dealing with statistics at this point.
I'm dealing with the the price consumer index, the consumer price index, the Freddie Mac report, the 10-year Treasury bond, and the inflation reports. Right. So I'm looking at all this stuff that has been looked at for the last 30, 40 years, and basing it on that. And you know what? Up to this point, I'm not saying it's not going to change next month. It could. Okay. But up to this month, these reports look like the same, a year ago reports. The reports from a year ago, they don't look that much difference. The inflation is pretty much the same. The interest rates have been hanging around at 6.8 for a very long time. So this whole thing, everybody's thinking the sky is falling. This is actually and this is what me and Mike were talking about yesterday. This is actually a better time for the buyers to buy than when the interest rates start falling. The monthly report for South Florida came out. Our inventory is still growing. Palm Beach County went from 5.8 to 5.9 months of inventory. That isn't a huge increase, but it's not going down. Port St. Lucie's inventory is growing. Very surprising over there because Port St. Lucie's always been the honey hole for deals.
It's growing massively, isn't it?
And it's growing a lot. I mean, it used to be at 0.9 months, and we're well into the 4 months now.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, any active buyers out there right now hearing inventory on the rise should be saying, alert.
You got to buy now, even if and these interest rates are not high over the last 18 months. So it isn't like you're buying at the highest point of the interest rates or anything. You're buying at what's been pretty much happening for 18 months. And you're going to buy it now. You're not going to have any competition. You got tons of motivated sellers. Not everybody's motivated, but the ones that are, you can get great deals from. And when the interest rates drop, while all the other know-it-alls think that they were so smart waiting for the interest rates, then they're going to be competing with everybody else that was waiting for that. Okay. You already went that. You zigged when they zagged. Yep. So you zigged, you bought first. You bought lower than they're going to buy. And then you're going to refi your house when it gets down to the right point, and you're going to get the low interest rates they're getting, but you bought it at a price way lower than they're buying.
Marry the house, date the rate.
And yeah, and the thing is that people really need to hear this, because Johnny, when you bought your house in 2014, it wasn't really the optimum time to buy. The market was just starting to scoot up at that point. People weren't really realizing it, except for us.
You were like, dude, you are running out of time.
Yeah, in 2014, I was saying you're missing out on all the great excess equity you can get from the crash, right? Now, he bought right at the beginning when the crash was getting over, but he still got lower. And his house is worth double what he paid for in 2014, roughly double. Am I exaggerating about that?
Yeah, probably. You're going to be coming over and giving us a really good understanding of my net sheet. But we refied, I don't know, 4 years ago probably now.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm so bad with time.
It's fine. You didn't quite wait long enough to get the very bottom of the refi rate market, but you got a you're 4%, right?
Yeah.
Very close to that. So not in the 3% club or the 2% club, which some people got into.
But
people would kill for 4.
I mean, even Johnny,
is it assumable?
No, he's conventional.
Oh, that's right, because
a mortgage is still assumable these days.
I'm working on an assumable case right now.
FHA loans and VA loans are assumable under the right conditions, which is a really great tool to know about. Not always practical. In execution.
Yeah, it's hard. It's very hard.
FHA is like assumable, but you also want profit. You want your equity. You're not selling it for the loan balance, so you have to come in with whatever that difference is.
I have a weird one where a house is in foreclosure, but it's assumable.
Oh, beautiful.
So I don't know if the new buyer paid off the bank, to get caught up, if they can grab it as an assumable mortgage or not. I asked one of the law firms that I work with, and they said they weren't sure.
So yeah, I don't know the answer to that either, but I'm sure whatever the difference is, if you come in with that money, right,
you think that
fine.
Yeah, because the contracts, the mortgage says it is assumable, so they'd have to do it, right? As long as you qualify for that mortgage.
It's funny. So the current loan servicer on the FHA loan, so whoever holds the paper, has to approve the new buyers. I think the difference is, like, let's say they owe $300 on the loan, but then the home's worth $400, right? Or that's what it's gonna. So it's that $100,000 gap that you have to figure out, but it can still be a great tool, even with the mortgage insurance that goes along with FHA. It'll make it, because you can be like 4% plus mortgage insurance is better than 7%. On a conventional or existing.
Can I ask a random question?
Sure.
Just because it was stuff that I've been reading this week. So loans are always made like with the idea of being sold, right? Am I wrong?
The servicing, the loan,
the
not always, but. So there's a decision to be made. Number one, the lender you're dealing with has to be able to make that decision. They can service loans or not. Some lenders can't service loans, right? They just write the initial one and the servicing transfers. But the mortgage firm, for example, there was at one time we were servicing almost all the loans that we did, right? But those were loans that were not likely to refinance, say, in the next 4 years, right? Because when you retain servicing, profit is made over the long term. When you transfer servicing initially, you make your profit right then. You're basically done with it. So loans that are potentially refinanceable within the next 5-year window, you're never going to get that point where you make more money than if you transferred the servicing initially.
That's why they
right?
do
So
that.
on a 7% loan, well, that's likely to refi. So we're just going to transfer it, make our profit now. On a 3% loan, that's probably a 30-year loan. We're going to do servicing for the 30 years and make a lot of money.
Okay, so very ignorant. I need your expertise on this. So I've been trying to make my way through the weeds in this. The way that I've consumed it is Fannie and Freddie have a lot to do with those reselling of the serviceable loans or the loans. If they go private, that's going to throw this weird wrench in that kind of.
They were private before, so they've only kind of been quasi-governmentally controlled since the crash.
Right, exactly. But what I'm reading, it almost feels like they're fear-mongering it in a way where they're like, oh, that can make it tough for loans in the future. Is that going to affect normal loan processing in the future if they go back to private?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Fannie and Freddie, basically the power that they hold is that they buy the mortgage-backed securities. Right. So they're essentially securitizing, 90% of the conventional loans that
But
are written.
would they be doing that if they were back private? Would they be doing it at the rate that they're doing it?
Yeah,
they
they'd be
would. They
doing
did it
it
prior.
Yeah, they're basically for profit right now. They're just government controlled. So they're all about the bottom line. So there's money to be made.
So a lot of the devil's always in the details. The opinion that's being shared in some of the facts can muddy the waters a lot.
The scary part about going back to the old system is from what I'm reading, right? Because I'm reading that stuff too, Johnny. I've been keeping close because I'm really worried. Remember, we've always said if they ever go back to putting out the ad saying, hey, you want to go on vacation or buy a Lamborghini?
It's happening.
Right? Take the money out of your house, right? Remember back on Countrywide and all that?
Again.
Right? I know it's happening a little bit, and the no-doc loans are starting to come out a little bit more.
They are.
So that's getting a little scary. But now the idea of privatizing again, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, part of the reason why we got into trouble the first time was because when they started collateralizing the loans and everything, what happened is those private companies were more worried about in my opinion, more worried about the profit they're making than the security of the loans that they were actually putting together. And they didn't care because they were making so much money, because I always called pigs of the trough. They're going to eat until there's no more food left. And then they'll worry about their stomach ache later.
It was
right?
kind of like the general thesis was like people don't default on their
right, because Americans never defaulted on their loans. Right. So, but now if we go back to that and have no oversight from Congress and let them just do their thing, we could go back to where we had that crisis again. And that's what the fear is.
That's probably more about deregulation and the financial markets than it is the Fannie and Freddie who's running the show. But yeah, Fannie and Freddie definitely loosened up on their
But Fannie and Freddie were buying those dirty mortgages. They were buying the dirty mortgages and then package them as collateral. And they were just looking the other way. And that's what could happen if they go private again. That's why, government, I'm not a big government fan. I don't trust government, but there is usefulness of government to protect people. And you got to understand, you got to have a healthy disrespect for government, but at the same time, use them when they're helpful to the public.
To Johnny's point, and we might be missing the whole like what's happening with the rates and everything. That's okay, but so Fannie and Freddie essentially set risk tolerance for approving loans, and so they set the rules for lending. Credit has to meet this requirement. Your income is analyzed in this way. Here's how we do self-employed borrowers. All of that.
Right.
So if they start loosening up and kind of like allowing a little bit more risk, they also want to protect against that risk. And so ultimately the interest rate that you end up at has some element of your individual risk profile.
Mortgage
right?
insurance.
So if you have lower credit, right? If you're putting a lower down payment versus say a 50% down, something like that. So they have what they call loan level pricing adjustments or LLPAs.
If you don't have skin in the game, what do you?
And this is why you, Johnny, might be at 7%, and Jim, you're going to be at 6.5%, right? Could be everything to do with your down payment, your credit, essentially your risk profile.
Sure.
So if they start allowing a little bit of latitude in there, well, there's profit to be made, because they can adjust the LLPAs and they can essentially have a higher interest rate, covers their butt a little bit. And so that's where I think the kind of the privatization allows them to do that a little bit more free hand on individual profit or risk on, individual loans. So there's a potential there for, hey, we're still not going to default. We're going to allow this level of risk. We're going to cover our butts by having higher interest rate or prepaid interest, something like that. And then maybe it can result in higher interest rates across the board.
It's all in the desire to kickstart the housing economy, because another headline I read was lowest home sales since 2009.
Yes, you're right.
I think the philosophy is like, less government involvement, more free market. And
you know what? I fall in line with that so quickly until you realize you're like, oh, well, we shouldn't have done that.
But then we have
exactly. Right.
Like I'm like, that sounds great. And then you're like, why do I fall for that?
Every time it happens.
Every time I fall for it.
Just talking about interest rates in general, Jim, like really like the day to day, week to week, it really only matters if you're actively shopping and you're ready to lock in your interest rate. And that's super critical. So we're not doing the headlines, the fear mongering. Like, we're not even saying, hey, look what you can do. You buy now, you could double your home's value in 10 years. We're just saying, if you're a buyer, right, you got to know these numbers, right? You have to know these numbers. You have to be able to make decisions. And these slight fluctuations that you're seeing day on day, don't lose sleep over it. You just got to deal with the reality of it if you're in that mode. If you're not in the mode, then it doesn't matter.
Next week, we're going to go in deep about all of this stuff. So if you're a buyer or a seller, we're going to get into interest rates and understanding how it's changing and how you can negotiate to offset that interest rate increase. There's a lot of powerful stuff we're going to have for buyers and sellers next week. Mike, you're going to be here, right? You got to be here for that one.
I sure will.
And we'll keep reiterating the interest rate is not the most important number. It's just not. It is an important number, but your monthly obligation is what matters most. And there's a bunch of things that go into that. Bunch of things. That's why you got to get with a pro. You got to understand exactly where you stand, how firm that footing is. I know sometimes when you look out, that water looks deep. But boy, you take those first couple steps, you're like, that's only like ankle deep. Don't be scared. Walk out in the water, wade out with us. It's time to buy a home, sell a home. You're stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. Deal with it. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your one-stop real estate shop. Thank you to Andy Wyman, Wyman Legal Solutions, for coming in to visit us today. It was great to have you.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
WymanLegalSolutions.com. And, of course, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com will get you right there. Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Great to see you as always.
You too. Happy Memorial Day weekend, everybody.
Have an excellent Memorial Day weekend. Remember the reason, by the way. People sacrifice the most that they possibly can for all the things we enjoy. Set aside some time to recognize those that gave the most, and their families too. Man, did they sacrifice too. Memorial Day is about remembering. Let's remember. Jimmy D, Florida Homes Pros, the Keller Williams Innovations. Have a wonderful week.